Zombies are real. Look outside. They're there right now, lurking in the dark, ready to spread their infection to unsuspecting passerbys. Don't bother locking your doors or windows though. It's no use. They can find their way in through the tiniest crevice. That's because these zombies are the size of a pin. We're talking about zombie ants infected by mind-controlling fungi called Cordyceps. The same Cordyceps responsible for the outbreak in the hit show The Last of Us, in which parasitic fungi contaminate the world's grain supply, spreading infection to over 60% of the global population, turning regular people like you and I into frenzied zombie-like creatures. But how likely will this happen? So can ants be carriers of this horrible disease and spread to humans, like rats for the bubonic plague in the 14th century, or chickens during the bird flu outbreak in 2003? In this video, we'll check out several zombie-making parasites, 10 times scarier than Cordyceps, examine the all-important question: can zombies like clickers and blowers from The Last of Us really exist? But before we begin, welcome to JAWjabbers. Here we explore hospital horror stories, medical mysteries, and on occasion, things that go bump in the night. If you're into this content, go ahead and slap that like and subscribe button before they have a chance to crawl in your belly and lay their eggs. Many consider Mary Shelley's 1818 gothic horror story Frankenstein the very first science fiction novel ever published. Good science fiction straddles both science and horror. True horror sets in when our rational minds can't accept what's happening, when the unexplained becomes our new reality and melts our brains. So yes, it's insane to think that zombies do exist, but the truth is, they've been around for millions of years, shambling across the earth in Mother Nature. Cordyceps come in hundreds of different species, with 35 in particular having evolved the power to control their host's body. The most famous, Cordyceps unilateralis, is responsible for zombifying bullet ants. The fruiting body of these cordyceps have been found growing out of the fossil remains of these ants, dated millions of years old. How exactly do cordyceps take over the mind of ants? Check out this line of ants foraging on the forest floor. Hanging high above them from the underside of a leaf is a single ant who had slinked away from the colony to die alone. Suddenly, there's a burst of white capsules spraying the ground below. The white mist is made of cordyceps spores that, upon landing on an unwitting ant host, will excrete a special chemical that's able to dissolve the ant's hard exoskeleton and burrow inside. Give it a second. It won't take long now. The first sign of infection is odd, erratic behavior. Hidden from us, fungal tubules are invading the ant's brain, taking control of its nervous system and permeating its muscle tissues. The ant's infected brain compels it to climb higher and higher up a plant, above the foraging line of its colony. The ultimate betrayal is about to begin, but to no fault of its own. The ant is not in control. In its last hour of life, the ant twitches uncontrollably and clamps down its mandible on the stalk of a leaf, locking itself into a sniper position, frozen and unable to move. Its actions are no longer its own. Having placed the ant exactly where it wanted to be, the fungus has one last use for its host: nourishment. The fungus starts devouring the ant's innards until there is nothing left but a hollow shell. Over the next few weeks, the fruiting body of the cordyceps erupts out of the ant's head, ready to shoot down spores of its own and begin the cycle anew. Next up, Succinia putri snails are about to get mind-jacked after ingesting the excrements of birds infested with Leucochloridium paradoxum. These parasites make their way into the snail's nervous system and forces unsafe behavior that puts them in harm's way. The snails are compelled to climb up trees and expose themselves in open and sunny areas. The parasites burrow into the snail's head and take control of the ocular tentacle muscles to create a pulsing, rhythmic dance that mimics the movement of caterpillars. Birds fly down, targeting these caterpillar imposters, and eat the infected snails, becoming infected themselves. Well, imagine junior cicadas spending most of their lives underground, gestating in their nymph stage, and after 13 years finally emerge, crawling to the surface to spend their one and only month above ground to mate and complete their life cycle. Unfortunately, some of these cicadas have brought along parasitic hitchhikers called Massospora cicadina. As these parasites mature, they hollow out the abdomen of the infected cicadas, devouring their reproductive organs as well, and replace them with a powdery mass of fungal spores. The cicada's vital organs and mobility are left intact. The natural instinct to procreate is amplified by chemicals secreted by these fungus parasites. One such chemical is cathinone, a base component of amphetamine that causes euphoria and excitement. Infected male cicadas behave strangely and flick their wings as if they were female and trick healthy male cicadas to mate with them. When they do, they pass on the fungal infection to these unsuspecting victims. The newly infected male cicadas are spurred by raging amounts of psilocybin and psilocin, the same chemicals found in hallucinogenic mushrooms, to take to the air like crop dusters and dust the forest floor with fungal spores. Would you consider this next example creative parenting or child abandonment? You decide. Cobweb spiders fall prey to parasitic wasps called Zatapoda percatatoria when they inject the spider's abdomen full of wasp eggs and turn them into zombie slave parents. The wasps pass on all parenting responsibilities to the spiders, who will now devote the rest of their lives to nurturing, child rearing, and even homemaking for these adopted kids from hell. The wasp eggs develop into larvae that drain the spider of its nutrients and vitality. They excrete chemical control over the spider to make it give up spinning webs and build wasp cocoons instead. When the spider is done building a home for its adopted kids, the larvae erupt from its abdomen, consume their host, and crawl into their new cocoons, safe and sound, high above the ground. If you think those parasites were horribly ungrateful, none of them hold a candle to the horrors committed by this next one. The rhizocephali are tiny little parasitic barnacles that zombify mud crabs. If the host crab started life as a male, these heartless barnacles do the unthinkable and castrate them. Yes, they turn male crabs into female by growing their root system into the crab's abdomen and through the glands responsible for male sex hormones. It's all very self-serving because only female mud crabs have an egg chamber. After the transformation completes, the rhizocephalyn barnacles lay their own eggs into the crab's egg chamber and trick the crab into thinking it's pregnant. The barnacles excrete chemicals through this root system to activate the crab's maternal instincts. Every 2 weeks, the eggs hatch and shed from the host crab to infect more crabs. So you see, zombies are out there in Mother Nature, waiting for the chance to get us. Lucky for you and me, Cordyceps only infect insects like carpenter ants. For now, infections from animals are a real and present danger. Zoonotic diseases, that is, diseases that spread from animals to humans, have led to a number of pandemics, including bird flu, Ebola, the Spanish flu, and more recently, COVID-19. The only barrier between us and the next zombie apocalypse is the evolutionary leap it will take for Cordyceps to hop from animal hosts to humans. That's why the infected from The Last of Us are so horrifying. With global warming and overpopulation, anything is possible. Remember, great science fiction starts with great science fact. You'll be surprised to know that humans have been willingly ingesting Cordyceps for centuries. Yeah, you heard that right. Are we tempting nature in a game of chicken here? Really? More on that in my next video. Thank you for staying to the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. It definitely helps out the algorithm, helps out the channel. Now, if you're a fan of this content, slap that like and subscribe button before they have a chance to crawl on your belly and lay their parasitic eggs. Alright, see you next time.
I know you do. I know you do. I know you do. You